Hey guys, Omni here. So I wanted to talk about a film that I saw actually a few weeks ago, and I just completely forgot to make a video about it. After getting out of the theater, I just needed some time to ponder it. It was late, and I ended up just not getting to making the video about it. This, of course, is A24's X, directed, written, and produced by Ty West, returning to his horror roots. Now, I'll admit, I have not seen any of his prior films, and this is my introduction to his work. This movie is very much so an homage to the old school slasher flicks back in the Texas Chainsaw era of films. You'll see a lot of similarities to that film and a few homages to others as well throughout the film. The film stars Mia Goth, Jenna Ortega, Martin Henderson, Owen Campbell, Scott Mescudi, and Brittany Snow, a group of aspiring pornographers who are going out there to try to catch this home video craze that is about to kick off as VHS is starting to make its way into the zeitgeist. The film's taking place, I believe, if I remember right, the tail end of the 70s going into the 80s. And they go out, they rent this kind of like dilapidated home that's on this farm property out in the middle of nowhere in Texas, unbeknownst to the landlord of what they're actually there to do. And what ensues is a bloody mess as this, of course, group of people gets picked off one by one. While this film is an A24 film, there are a lot of things to expect. It takes its time. There's a lot of really interesting ways that they kind of let the camera linger on in shots, very reminiscent of the early Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, as well as the setting is very familiar, as well as they learn that the people that they're renting this property from for the time being might not be as innocent and wholesome as they might think. Mia Goth puts in a fantastic performance as this aspiring adult performer who wants to become a star. She wants to have her name known, and while she's young, she wants to use what she's got to get the life that she wants. She wants the life she believes she deserves. And this plays into some of the commentary that this film has, which is interesting because I took away a lot of messages in this film that I had not heard Ty West say or discuss at all in any of his interviews discussing the film, let alone any of the other actors or actresses. So I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's just something I picked up on through the value placed on beauty, on youth, and the fleeting nature of that and how it wanes, and how we just kind of turn a blind eye and shun away from the same sort of thing when it comes to people of an older age. It's a really interesting thing. It's something I picked up on throughout the movie, and like I said, I have not heard anybody else talk about it. Whenever I haven't watched any other reviews other than Chris Stuckman's on this as well, when I was also trying to gather my own thoughts on the movie. Because it was one of those movies, definitely, I came out of it, I was like, there was a lot of messaging throughout of it, and I was kind of conflicted on what a lot of it was trying to say. And it turns out, at least from any of the interviews that I've seen, they're not talking about it, so it's just like, am I making this all up in my head? I don't know, maybe. But if you're going into this just as a simple, by-the-numbers homage to classic horror slashers, it will probably hit that mark. The gore is substantial, it is visceral, it takes its time. There's a lot of really great, brutal practical effects in here. It's unsettling, it's unnerving. I think it hits the nail on the head, a lot of that. At times, it's also just, morbidly hilarious as well as kind of sad. This thing runs a lot of gamuts of a lot of different emotions. It's really interesting. It's also edited in a way that it definitely puts you off foot in it. It keeps you on edge because it doesn't have your usual cadence when it comes to editing. It'll cut when you don't expect to cut. It'll hang on a shot when you don't expect it to hang. You think a jump scare is going to come, it doesn't. And then when you're not expecting one, there it is. It plays around with audience expectations in horror in a really interesting way. But at the same time, like I said, because of this, I don't know, the way the story is played out, there's definitely something it's trying to say, whether it's intentional or not. And at times it gets a little muddied in the motivations of the characters, which I think might also be intentional because at the end in the credits, there is a tease for a prequel to this film to set up this family living in this home. And from seeing that teaser, I'm just really interested. So I'm wondering if it definitely feels like there's pieces of the puzzle intentionally left out of this movie. And I think that's probably because we'll get those answers in another film, because there's definitely some connections that are meant to be made between Mia Goth's character and the family, particularly the wife of the home. And it's pretty interesting to see. I'm very curious to see what that is going to pan out to be. The performances in this are really great. Like I said, Mia Goth does a fantastic job. I believe Jenna Ortega, actually, from an interview I saw, this was actually filmed prior to Scream, but Scream came out before this did for the public. So it was really interesting to see her talk about that and share about the experiences. She does fantastic in this, and I think she was the best part of Scream, the recent one, the one that just came out. I think she's fantastic. She does a really good job, and I think she's probably in line to be one of the next major Scream queens if she keeps up this horror trend. Brittany Snow in here as a surprise shock. This is definitely a turn, and she commits wholeheartedly to it. And everybody in this, I think, gives a pretty solid performance across the board. It's directed really well. That keeps you on your toes. It's just what I come to expect from A24. It's a film that is going to challenge me. It's a film that is going to take its time. It's a film that's going to have things to say, whether or not the director knows it, I guess. I don't know. I tried to find an interview with Ty West that talked about some of the things I was picking up on, but like I said, I couldn't find one where anybody talked about some of the subtext that is floating around in the film. But who knows? Maybe we'll get more of that when Pearl comes out, the prequel. And I'm looking forward to actually seeing that. It looks interesting. It looks like a very different kind of film. I know I'm late to this point. I don't know if it's still playing. I know it's in some theaters near me right now. So if you have a chance, definitely give it a go, especially if you're a fan of that old school horror slasher grunge vibe. You know, the early days of the slasher genre, guys. So that being said, guys, have you seen it? What'd you think? Sound off in the comments. Let me know your thoughts down below. We'll carry on the conversation after the video. Feel free to join us in our Discord. We can talk about it there as well. Links to that on my socials in the description box below. Follow me in each and every one of those. Before we go, I want to shout out our channel legends, Manny Sherritt, Ryan, Karen, Philly Vane, Yori, Corey Scott, Margaret Grace, Mary Bradley, Nate Prouty, and Melita. Thank you guys, as always, for your continued support. And everybody here on the channel, thank you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care, everybody.